Morning again from Papa's Custom Cars. A bunch of little things we've got to get done around here. The list of items is starting to pile up, so let's get to it. Let's get started with the first thing we're going to do today, and that's see if we can't get this truck running right. So in that last video, we ran the codes. It was a 35 and a 43, not a 34. The 35 code is this particular part right here, which is the idle speed control. So I went ahead and I ordered a brand new one. They're not very expensive. And judging from the mileage on the truck, it probably needed it. A nice clean one. I figured since I'm going to be in there, I'm going to go ahead and replace it anyway. Along with that, I've got a set of brand new plugs for it, brand new plug wires. I did not order a cap and rotor as of yet. I did order the oil and the oil filter mainly because you guys saw that stuff was black as coal. So that's what we're going to work on first thing this morning. Oh yeah, one other thing that I did order is right over here. I ordered this. It's basically a step stool. That'll make it a lot easier for working on trucks. They did have one of the truck ones at the auction where you can climb up and lay across and basically work on the truck. Didn't win the bid, so I got this instead. Was relatively inexpensive, but with its height and everything, I can stand on it and I can work on the truck a lot easier than I could trying to do it leaning over it, especially when you get into the spark plugs and spark plug wires and everything. So now we got this nice step stool. Whoop, nice step stool and all these parts. Let's get to work. All right, first thing we're going to do, go ahead and pull the air cleaner out of the way so that we can get to the plugs and wires and everything and that sensor. The first thing we're going to do is pull that sensor and change it first. Everything's set up here. Our sensor is right there underneath all this mess. So the first thing we have to do is unhook it. Which is, there she goes. Wires look okay, except that bottom one right there's cracked. That could be causing a problem, maybe, maybe not. And this does come off with a 32 millimeter socket, or it's the size of a 32 millimeter anyway. Come here, you. And look at it. This looks dirty and disgusting. So let's grab the new one. And it already comes with the sealer on the threads and the gasket. So all I got to do is put her on in. Careful to line it up straight. You'll know when you do. It'll start going right on in. Voila. And that's replaced. Okay, now let's do our tune-up.
The next day.
Okay, it's Sunday morning. We've also already replaced our idle speed control module, so now we want to attack the spark plug wires. So let's get on that quick. Let's attack some spark plugs, shall we? Let's see if I'm even up. Oh, yep, I am. Woof, look at that thing. Until it's been a minute since that's been replaced. It's blacker than night. Yeah, that's definitely one of the problems. Now you'll notice that I'm loosening them by hand and then using the impact from there out. And then it'll be the same when I put it in. Snug it with the impact and then use the ratchet to tighten it. Then we're going with some NGKs again. And I've already checked all of our gaps and everything, so we're okay there. And always put your plugs in by hand. Don't try to. That way you know they're in and they're not stripping. These heat shields are kind of a pain. They're loose, so to get her running right later, we're going to add I've got a set of headers that are smog legal, believe it or not. We're also going to swap out these spark plugs while we're doing it too. Now, where did my, there it is. Plug number 2, not as bad as plug number 1. But it's not looking as bad. Still doesn't look good, but it doesn't look as bad as that first one. It doesn't look too bad on that one either. It doesn't look great, but again, once again, it's not as bad as that first one was. That came out way too easy. Somebody's been in there moving stuff around. Yeah. That might be half the problem right there. See, that one's tight. There's a tip for you if you can't get it in there. Take off the heat shield. One side done. Now there are retainers for all these spark plug wires, and they just left them loose anyway. Not too bad. This doesn't look too bad. Yeah, this little solenoid right here, it has an open line on it. Wonder where that goes. Okay, let's give her a start and see how she runs. Cross your fingers and hope this is what fixes it. Don't think I have that much gas either. That probably doesn't help any. All right, let's put the air cleaner back on. Okay, we know someone's gone through. That's a new distributor. Last but not least, let's go ahead and pull the tensioner, get this belt off and get us a new belt. Because that belt's driving me insane. I can't hear anything beyond it. Go ahead and pull that tensioner too. Let's get a new one of those because this one is all tore up. Looks like somebody's been cranking on it for days. I'll put that right there. And you look at it and see it's all marred up. Clearly somebody was not doing it right. So let's head to the auto parts store, get those two, and we'll be back in just a few. Okay, we've changed the plugs, we've changed the sensor, we've changed the wires. We're still getting a miss. Looking inside the truck, the ignition system has been replaced. There's a brand new distributor in that truck. So that kind of leads me to believe that this has been going on for a minute. It's really hard to tell anything with this belt squeaking like crazy. So we're going to go ahead and order up a new belt and a new tensioner to go with it just in case. And we'll also order all the idler pulleys. And that way we can quiet down that engine compartment and kind of get in there and hear a little bit more. We also need to really go through it next week. We need to make sure that there are no vacuum leaks because we know that a bad vacuum leak can cause it. Bad PCV valve could cause it. the idle air control, the sensor that we replaced should cure that issue, but it just may be something that's down the line a little bit further. So we want to check for vacuum leaks. We want to check our oxygen sensor, but we didn't get any codes on that, so I think we're okay there. Our fuel injection unit is filthy. I'm imagining that probably doesn't help because the dirty fuel injector could cause the problem too. I do have a whole nother fuel injection unit from the other truck, which is sitting over there, but it is filthy too. It has less miles on it than this one does, but at least this will give us a starting point. We don't have to tear apart the truck's system in order to rebuild it. And these are really, really simple to rebuild, and the injectors are really easy to replace when they're off the truck. So we'll be able to rebuild this one and get it all cleaned up and ready to go, and then just swap out that old one on the truck. And that way we don't have to take the truck down. We can still move it around and everything. It does drive down the road. The miss is kind of an intermittent thing, which leads me to believe that it could be a host of different things. So slowly but surely we'll isolate everything. My main thing was just to get those plugs out, because looking at those, you could tell most of them were working well, but there were two that were just horrible. So it's a good thing that we replaced those and those plug wires. Then we know we've eliminated that. We'll probably replace the cap, more than likely. And then while we're replacing the cap, we'll definitely check the internals of that new distributor. And that's one of the things I thought was weird, was it's got a brand new distributor. You can tell by looking at the shaft, it's still shiny, like brand new, like somebody just put that in, but they didn't replace the cap, wires, or anything else, which is really bizarre to me. I'm figuring if you're in there dealing with the ignition system, you want to replace everything you can. Maybe it was just a limited budget or what have you, but we'll order a new cap for it too, just to make sure that that's not the issue. We'll also order a PCV valve. A lot of people overlook that, but remember that the PCV is drawing vacuum from the valve cover into the intake system. So a bad PCV valve could create a problem. I don't see any smoke out of the truck, so that's a good thing. That's a good sign that we don't have a bad cylinder or anything. And it does seem to run okay. It just has a bad miss. Well, not a bad one anymore. It's a little bit better. So we're slowly eliminating the problem. Now remember, this truck has got over 230,000 miles on it. So we may have a worn engine, but it doesn't really seem like it. It's pretty peppy. Everything seems to be pretty good. It looks like it had regular maintenance. The thermostat housing is brand new. There's one of the Prestone inline flush systems in it. So that means someone's been in the cooling system, and the coolant is green and looks pretty good. So that's a good sign. The only other thing, I can think of is, I don't know how old the gas is. I don't know how long this truck has been sitting. I know it ran a couple of years ago, but that's all I really know about this truck. A lot of the history we don't know. It wasn't one of those go there, get the truck running. I went there, I started the truck, it ran like hell. It ran really, really bad. It's better now, but still not all the way up. So we'll go ahead and we'll order some parts, and we'll order a new belt, new tensioner, new idler pulleys, and replace that whole thing. Whoever was in there didn't have the right size wrench on the tensioner, and they messed up the tensioner bad. So we do need to replace that. There's no doubt about that. And while we're in there, we might as well replace those idlers. The alternator looks replaced. The water pump looks replaced. So it looks like some of the things that are in there have been replaced. So that's a good thing. It looks like it's had regular maintenance. And judging from the overall appearance of the truck, somebody took pretty good care of it. With the exception of the accident damage on the front driver's side nose, the rest of it is perfectly straight, with the exception of the door, because when the fender ran back into the door, it bent. They bent the door to make it go inside the fender instead of just fixing the fender. So you've got that. I've got to deal with that. That's going to be either replace the door or replace. I know I'm going to replace the fender. I'm not sure so much about the hood. I might be able to straighten that out. If not, like I said, I've got the other hood. It's on the 90, and it's just as good. The door on the 90, however, has the same exact damage as that door does. So same goes with the fender. Fender seems to be where everybody runs into the truck. So I think with that, do post your comments if you've run into this where it's got that constant miss after you've done the tune-up and you've done everything. Replace this, like I said, I replaced everything that was coding out with the exception of the spark knock sensor. A lot of those, I have to find the right one because I was watching on YouTube, somebody was saying that the voltage in some of these things are really bad. And if you're going to get one, get it from Napa because the one in Napa ohms out the way it should. All the other ones seem to be Chinese made, and the ohmage is way off on it. So that'll cause issues. So I'm not really sure if somebody's replaced it yet or not, but we'll slowly attack this truck. There is no rush on this thing. Like I said, I've got the Nova to take care of yet. That's kind of a side project that I'm working on. It's in better condition than my other truck. So between the two of them, I might come up with something. And like I say, worst case scenario, if it turns out to be a bad engine with a bad cylinder or any of that nature, I have a Gen 1 small block sitting in that shed right now that runs well with no issues whatsoever, doesn't burn any oil. I could just throw it in there. Now, it's just a little bit more work than that, but I want to go through this thing and see if we can identify the problem. The previous owner just gave up on it. He was tired of messing with it, and I can see in there that they changed a few little things around, but like I said, it made no sense. They replaced the distributor, but nothing else in the ignition, including the cap that was on that distributor, which I thought was really weird. But anyway, with that, like, share, subscribe. I will see you next week in the next video.